All right, so 3 o'clock my time. I know we're calling in from a couple time zones, but we are ready to get started for our program. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Allie. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've been practicing in the Boston area for the last 5 years, and I just opened up my own practice recently. So I'm very excited to bring the program to you today, a 30-minute program on lower back pain. So this class is mostly movement-based. There's going to be some stretching, some strengthening. We will save time at the end to talk about ergonomics at home, as well as leave some time for Q&A. So if you have a question at all during this class, write it to me in the chat. We will get to it. We've got a 5-star program today, so it's a nice small class size, so we should have time to answer all those questions. One thing I want to emphasize before we start moving is that everyone's backs are different. Everyone's dealing with different back conditions, and this class is appropriate for all of you. But I need you guys to listen to your backs and listen to your body. Take modifications if something doesn't feel right for your body. I offer a lot of different options for how to do these exercises. So listen to them, slowly work through and build up as you feel comfortable. But this class is meant to feel good for you. If something doesn't feel right, you can always take a rest or take a modification. So with that being said, we're going to start lying down on your back in a comfortable setup. So just resting your body down. I know this is probably midday towards the end of the day for many of us. So take a moment to settle in on your mat. And if when you lie down, it's uncomfortable to have your legs all the way extended, you can start with your knees bent, feet resting flat on the mat. And just allow your body to melt down. As you lie here on the mat, take a moment to check in and see how your body feels. Scanning your body from the top of your head down to your hips and feet. And there's no right or wrong for how you feel on the mat right now, but just notice any differences from side to side, any spots of tension. And for now, just notice it. Start to tune your attention into your breathing. And so with breathing, we have 3 dimensions of how we can breathe. We can breathe up high in our shoulders. We can breathe down low in our bellies. You can even breathe wide out to the side in your rib cage. And we can actually use our breathing to relax some muscles in our back. We can even use it to strengthen some of the deeper muscles in our core that support our spine. So as you breathe here, focus on sending that breath down into your belly, down into your rib cage, taking a deep breath in through your nose, and feeling a deep exhale out through your mouth, really letting go of some of that stale air in your lungs. Try one more deep breath like that, and I'm going to join you guys down on the mat. If your legs are all the way extended, go ahead and bend both of your knees. We're going to start to introduce some gentle pelvic motion by gently rocking our tailbone front to back. So if you can imagine the space underneath your low back, you're gently closing and then opening that space, closing and opening the space. Think of rocking your tailbone up towards your nose and then letting it go. Now, if this is the first movement you've done all day, this might feel really stiff, and that's okay. Just work within your spine's comfortable range of motion, even if it's really small. Hopefully, as you start to move a little bit more, this motion will get a little bit bigger. We'll try 3 more like that. Last 2. And one more time, settle somewhere right in the middle. From here, walk your feet together, knees together, and allow your arms to rest down by your sides. From here, we're going to slowly start to rock the legs side to side. I want you guys to try and keep your knees together if you can. That will help the stretch to stay in your lower back and less in your hips. And as you rock side to side, it's actually okay for your hips to lift here, but I want you to keep your shoulders down. And you're only letting your legs go as far as they can without any stress or strain on your lower back. So it might be different from side to side, and that's okay. You're just finding that gentle movement, and maybe that movement's getting a little bit bigger as you go. We'll try about 4 more here, nice and easy. Last 3 and 2. Settle somewhere right in the middle for that last time. Separate your feet once again, but this time walk your feet in close enough to be able to touch your heels with your fingertips. We're preparing for our first strength exercise of the day, which is bridging, an exercise for our glute muscles. And our glute muscles are important when we talk about back pain because our glutes are what support our back when we bend over, when we pick things up, even when we're walking and when we're going up and down stairs. So from here, we're gonna lift our hips up to the ceiling and hold. Now, if you feel pressure in your low back, try and bring the front rib cage down, connecting your ribs towards your hip joint. And once you're there, bring your hands to your glutes, make sure that they're actually working. You should feel the butt muscles active and engaged, so the work is happening there and not in your low back. Now we start to lower and lift, lower and lift. If you feel like as you lower and lift your hips here, it's too much, you start to lose the control in your glutes, just work to hold that bridge. Otherwise, you continue here. I'm gonna take a quick peek at your form and you guys can continue. Good. Naveen, you can walk your feet out a tiny bit away from your bottom there. Yeah, good. And Sally, bring your feet a little closer together. Same for you, Damon. Good. Very nice. We'll try 3 more. And 2. Last time, lower the hips down. Now, if you've taken my class before, you felt pretty comfortable with bridging. We're gonna try a single leg bridge. But if this is new for you, I want you to stick with that double leg bridge we just tried. So we'll lift the hips on up. If you're taking that single leg variation, press your arms down into the floor and bring your right leg to a tabletop position. From here, we bend the knee in towards our chest, push it out. Bend it in and push it out. So even though you're moving your right leg, your left hip is totally still. So you're staying strong and lifted. And in fact, the front of your right hip should be at the same height as your left. We try 1 more here, and then plant the right foot down, drop the hips down, take a moment to reset, and then lift the hips back up, this time drawing the left leg up to tabletop. From here, we press out, bend it in, press it out, bend it in, keep the work pressing your right foot into the floor to keep that right glute strong and active. I like single leg work here because it tells us a lot about which side of our body is stronger. Try 2 more. And 1 more time, bend it in, place your foot down, drop your hips down, and take a little rest. Nice job, guys. So we just worked to strengthen the back side of our body. We're gonna work into the front side of our body a little bit now. So our core. Bring your right knee in towards your chest, gently. So you're not pinching your knee, you're just gently hugging it in. And then you're gonna stretch the left leg out long. Now, if this feels like pressure, bring your left leg up a little bit higher. If it feels easy, you walk it down a little bit lower. Now, again, if you've taken my class before, you want to progress today, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. From here, we switch the legs in space. So as you're switching your legs, you're looking for stillness in your spine. So knees in and out, the legs are moving, but you want to see that your trunk is staying nice and still. And that's where our core comes in. It stabilizes our spine. We go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down, take a quick rest. We're going to build on that motion. And again, this is optional, but this time walk your right leg up straight. You can hug either behind the knee or up as high on the ankle as you can and stretch the left leg long. You have the option to curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. From here, we scissor the legs and switch. Scissor the legs and switch. So same idea, that we're trying to keep the trunk nice and still, but we get the added benefit of a big stretch to the back of our legs and our hamstrings. We go for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last time, lower everything back down, massage out that lower spine, and then allow your feet to rest down. Awesome, guys. So from here, bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. You may already feel a stretch on the outside of your right hip. If that's the case, just stay here. If you want a deeper stretch, you're going to reach your hands through, grab the left thigh, and pull your knee in towards your chest. And you'll feel a nice stretch on the outside of your right hip. Now, I get a lot of questions. Why are we stretching our hips when it's our back that bothers us? Our hips move so closely with the way that our backs move that the more flexible your hips can be, the less stress your back has to feel, especially your lower back. Now, if you want to deepen this stretch, take your right hand to your right knee and you're gently going to press your knee away from your body. So you're pressing it away very slightly, and you can feel how that changes the angle of stretch. And we'll just hold and breathe here for a moment. And then lower everything down. Nice job, guys. So next, we're going to take our left ankle on top of our left knee. A lot of times when I see people doing this stretch, they put their shin on their knee. I want to challenge you to try and keep just your ankle on the knee. It's going to give you a slightly different stretch. Again, if you need to, you can reach through and grab the back of your right thigh and pull that in, and just notice the difference on your two hips. If you want to build on this stretch the way we did on the right side, you take your left hand to the right knee and gently push it away. All of this should just feel like a stretch. It shouldn't be straining, it shouldn't be painful. If it is, back off a little bit until it's just a stretch. And we'll hold, taking another deep breath here. And then gently pull both of your knees in towards your chest. We're going to rock ourselves up to a seated position. Nice, guys. Okay, so from here, flip on over. We're going to set up on an all fours position. So our hands are directly underneath our shoulders, knees are directly underneath our hips. If you have wrist sensitivity, you can lower down onto your forearms. If you have knee sensitivity, you can always roll up your mat a couple times or use that pillow underneath your knees to give yourself a little bit of padding to release. So from here, we're going to move through that cat-cow type motion. So we're rounding our spine and dropping the spine down. Your range of motion and my range of motion and your neighbor's range of motion will likely all be a little bit different. So just work within your body's capacity today. But I do want you to think about pulling your rib cage up to create that stretch and then allowing your rib cage to drop down. So if you can visualize the movement happening from your ribs, you may get a more comfortable, bigger stretch. We'll try one more here and then settle somewhere right in the middle. So once you're in the middle, you're in somewhat of that flat back position. We're going to try a little balance here, so a back strengthener. So reach your right arm out in front of you, your left leg back behind you. Once you're there, hold your balance. Try and keep your head lifted, thinking about your belly button pointing straight down to the floor. Can you stretch your fingertips and toes even farther away from one another, holding that long position for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back down. Hold it. We're going to try for the second side. So here we reach the left arm out, the right leg back behind you, and hold. Reach the fingertips, toes in opposite directions. The top of your head is lifted. Your belly button is pointing down towards the floor. We hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down. This time we're going to lay right onto our stomachs. So you can lower down. Now, if you lay on your stomach and it already bothers your back, you want to put a little pillow underneath your hips. You can also separate your feet a little bit on the mat. Sometimes that can help. From here, we're going to keep the hands planted underneath the shoulders and slowly start to press into our hands to lift our back. So maybe you can lift just your upper back. Maybe you feel comfortable lifting all the way up into your lower back. So whatever works for your spine, gently work within that range of motion. But remember, this is an extension exercise, and we spend a lot of time bent forward, sitting in flexion, which is the opposite of this position. So it's normal to be a little bit tight here. And that's why this is one of my favorite stretches. You'll see it in all of my back pain classes. It's very effective and it's very quick as a way to stretch our spine. We'll try 3 more. Good, guys. Just make sure your shoulders are relaxed away from your ears for 2. And 1 more time. Lower all the way down. And we're going to roll onto your left side. We're actually going to do both sides, but just for the purposes of cueing, roll onto your left side. You're going to make a little pillow with your bicep and bend your knees in close towards your chest. So this step is important. We're about to do rotation again, but by pulling our knees into our chest, it makes the rotation happen in our upper back rather than our low back. So this time you're going to reach your top hand out, tap the floor in front of you, and then reach it up and over, tap the floor behind you. So reaching up and over in front, and up and over in the back, gently rotating the spine, feeling a nice opening of the chest up to the ceiling. If you have shoulder sensitivity, you actually don't need to move your arm here. You can just keep it on your chest and rotate your chest down to the floor and then up to the ceiling. Like I said, it's really a stretch for your upper back. The arm is just kind of an added bonus. So we'll do 3 more here. And 2 more. Good, guys. 1 more time. And then press yourself on up. So the next thing we're going to try is a strengthening exercise. And there's a couple steps to this, but we are going to try a side plank, a modified side plank. And I'll tell you a little bit more, but we'll set up with the elbow directly underneath your shoulder. And this step is really important. You want to make sure that you're aligned here. Otherwise, it's really stressful for your shoulder if you're too far away. You're going to bring both knees back so they're about in line with your hips, and then straighten your top leg. Now you have the option to just stay here. Even keeping your hips down is still working to lift your bottom ribs away from the floor. Otherwise, you're going to try and lift your hips up, keeping your knee down. So I'm resting down on my left knee with my hips lifted. Okay, so now we are strengthening the side of our body. We work the front, we work the back. The side of our body gives us support and stability when we're twisting and when we're doing unilateral movements. A good example being we're carrying the groceries on one side of our body. So now, one last add-on, if you want to challenge yourself, start to lift and lower that outside leg. As you lift and lower, your goal is actually to keep your bottom hip perfectly still. And that is not easy. You're going to feel it want to bounce up and down. You can always modify just holding the leg down or even dropping your hip. We do 2 more. And last time. Good. Now go ahead and sit down on your hips and come up to a seated position. So I'm sitting down on my left hip with my legs out to the side. If you need to sit up on your pillow here, you can do so. You can also just go ahead and sit in more of a diamond-shaped position if that's more comfortable for your hips. We're going to take the left hand down onto the floor and start to reach up and over, finding a nice side stretch. So we've already stretched our spine forward and backwards. We've rotated. Now we're stretching our spine sideways. So we're going to take this into a bigger movement with a windmill motion, reaching up and over, up and over. As we do this windmill motion, I want you guys to still think about sitting up really tall. It's easy to kind of slump forward, but you actually lose some of the stretch in the side if you slump forward. So you want to stay up tall as though you're sitting up against a wall, reaching the arms long. You can always bend your elbows a little bit here if you have shoulder sensitivities. So next time your left hand is down, you're going to pause there. And then we're going to rotate, tapping our right hand down as well. So this is kind of a funny movement, but both hands are on the floor. My chest is pointing down. If this doesn't feel good for your back, come back to that side position. Otherwise, we're going to try a little push up and press away. The real part, the benefit of this exercise is when you press away. So really work to push, like you might almost jump off your own arm. 2 more. And 1 more time. And then we come back up through the center. Nice, guys. So we've got the other side. So go ahead and swing your legs around. We're going to lie down on our right side, making a little pillow with your bicep and bending your knees in nice and close towards your chest. We'll reach the left arm out in front of you and then start to reach it up and over. So I actually call this exercise book openings because I like to imagine opening a giant page of a book and then turning that giant page back over. Following your hand with your eyes allows you to get a little deeper stretch into the very upper part of your back where it connects with your neck. But just again, work as far as you feel comfortable. Notice if when you're rotating, your knees are lifting, that means you're going a little bit too far. It's starting to bring the stretch into the low back, which is not a bad thing, but we are focusing here on trying to keep our upper back nice and flexible. Try 2 more. Good, guys. And 1 more time here. And then we're going to gently prop ourselves up for that side plank. So again, your elbow goes right underneath your shoulder. Your knees are in line with the rest of your spine, and you're going to straighten your top leg out, reaching it far away. Now, we can be kind of saggy here, or we can push our elbow into the floor to lift our bottom rib. Now, you can stay here keeping your hips down. You can also lift your hips up, trying to stack your hips and stack your shoulders right on top of one another. So holding this side plank, maybe this side is easier, maybe this side's a little bit harder. Can you keep a smile across your chest? And you have the option to start to lift and lower that outside leg, pulling your head back in space. Even as you lift and lower this leg, try and keep your bottom hip totally super still. So maybe you have a mirror, you can see yourself in the camera. It can be helpful to go back and watch yourself do this one. Try 3 more, and 2. 1 more time, take a little rest. So we sit down, press ourselves on up. Again, now I'm sitting on my right hip with my legs off to the left. You can choose to sit any way that's comfortable if you need to add a pillow here. Bring your right hand down onto the floor and stretch your left arm up and over. You can picture your left side rib cage here like an accordion. Really push it open to the ceiling. And then we start to add our windmill arms here. So same thing on this side, noticing how the stretch might feel a little bit different on this side compared to the other. And allow your head to just move along with the rest of your body. This one can be kind of fun. Take up as much space as you'd like in your mat. We go for 3 more, and 2. We'll pause with the right hand down with the left arm over. You have the option to just stay here. Otherwise, rotate and tap your left hand onto the floor, and we try those push-ups, down, push away, down, and push away. Really emphasize the push away, the straightening of your arms. That's where you're going to feel the deepest stretch for that upper back and rotation. 1 more. Good. And then come all the way on up. Nice job, guys. So you guys can stay here. I'm going to bring out my chair. I want to show you guys just a couple quick things about ergonomics with your work from home setup. So if this was my chair here, what I'm looking for in terms of lower back setup is to find a 90-degree angle at my knees and at my hips. So if I were to use the back of this chair, I am totally slumpy here. This isn't good support for me. For me to find that 90-degree angle, I need to be sitting up a little bit. Now, it's also important that you try as best you can to find the natural curve of your low back. So if you picture when you're standing that your low back has a small curve, you want to find that in sitting. And so in order for me to get there, I have to sort of tip my pelvis forward. Now, this is kind of a lot of work for me to hold this, and I don't think it's reasonable to expect you can hold it all day long. So I would add some pillows behind my chair, maybe a lumbar roll, lumbar support to give me some physical support to hold me there. Now, the other thing that I want to say is that no matter how perfect your spine position is when you're sitting, our backs don't like to stay still. They don't like to be sitting in one position for 8 hours at a time. So it's good to work towards those setups, but the best advice I can give you is to take breaks throughout your day. And it doesn't have to be a long one. You don't have to do this whole 30-minute program. Even if you take 1 or 2 of the favorite stretches you learned from today and you mix them in little bits and pieces throughout your day, it makes a big impact. Even taking 30 seconds or a minute every hour or 2 to stretch your spine, it keeps it moving, it keeps it flexible. It's sort of like that exponential curve that as it gets stiff, it gets stiffer and stiffer, and it's that much harder to get up and to move. Try and break that day up a little bit. So with those little breaks and with these little bits and pieces, I hope that by the end of the day, your spine is a little bit more flexible, more pliable, and less painful. So with that being said, I want to answer some of your